India is the world's biggest consumer of sugar, and just as the country enters its biggest season for sweets, sugar is getting much more expensive. Can you believe it? Prices have jumped nearly 40% in just 2 months, and now for the first time in almost a decade, India is turning to imports. 1 million tons of sugar to make sure there is enough for the domestic market. So how did India, which is the world's second largest sugar producer, end up needing to import sugar? And more importantly, could this make your festive sweets more expensive? Well, demand for sugar starts rising from August as India moves into its festive season. First comes Ganesh Chaturthi, followed by Dussehra and Diwali, and then the busy wedding season. At the same time, food and beverage companies start stocking up for one of their biggest sales period of the entire year. Now that puts additional pressure on wholesale sugar prices. A kilo of sugar that was selling for about 40 to 45 rupees in May and June was going for more than 58 to 60 rupees per kg in several markets in August. Prices have started easing slightly though, but the underlying supply problem remains. India now expects to produce around 30.6 million tons of sugar in the 2025-26 season. That's about 11% below the government's earlier estimate of 34.3 million tons. And that's a significant gap because India doesn't have a huge surplus to fall back on. The country consumed more than 28 million tons of sugar last season. So this year's expected production is only marginally higher than what India consumes. And there's another competing demand for sugarcane. Nearly 3 million tons of sugar is expected to be diverted towards ethanol production. So what went wrong? Well, one major problem was the weather. Lower sugarcane production has been linked to reduced rainfall during El Nino conditions. Erratic rainfall, prolonged dry spells, and diseases have affected sugarcane growing regions including Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and Karnataka. And sugarcane needs a lot of water. So when rainfall patterns become unpredictable, the impact can show up directly in the amount of sugar produced. But experts say there was another problem. India may have simply overestimated how much sugar it would produce. The government initially allowed mills to export about 1.5 million tons of sugar this season. Then in February, it approved another 500,000 tons. By the time exports were halted in May, nearly 800,000 tons had already left the country. And that has raised questions about whether exports should have been allowed at that scale before the production shortfall became clear. Now India is trying to build a buffer. The government has brought in imports to increase availability of sugar. For 3 months from 1st September, sugar refineries in specific economic zones near ports will also be allowed to sell duty-free refined sugar in the domestic market. India hasn't had to import sugar for domestic consumption in nearly a decade. The last time it happened was when the country was dealing with a drought. The Indian Sugar Mills Association has also asked sugar mills to begin crushing sugarcane 2 weeks earlier than the usual to build stocks as the new harvest starts arriving in October. But even that crop comes with a warning. The weather remains unpredictable and experts don't expect the next harvest to be a bumper crop either. Now there is another debate happening around India's sugar squeeze. Ethanol. India is pushing towards E20 or petrol containing 20% ethanol. That means some sugarcane that could otherwise go towards sugar production is being diverted towards ethanol production. Some commentators argue this has made the sugar shortage worse in a deficit year. But the government disagrees. It says the share of sugarcane diverted towards ethanol has actually fallen from 12% in 2022-23 to around 9% in 2025-26. The government instead points to lower production, hoarding, and tighter global supplies as the main reasons behind the price surge in sugar. The industry itself is divided. The Indian Sugar Mills Association says that stocks and monthly sugar release quotas remain comfortable and argues that speculation and hoarding are pushing prices higher. The government has responded by limiting stocks held by traders and wholesalers to 400 tons for 3 months. But analysts who disagree say that India has used such measures before and prices still continue to rise. To them, the problem looks less like speculation and more like a genuine supply crunch. And this is not just an India problem. India is importing sugar at a time when the global market is also getting tighter. El Nino has affected rainfall in Thailand. Heavy rain has disrupted cane harvesting in Brazil, the world's largest sugarcane producer. And Brazil is also diverting more sugarcane towards ethanol production. At the same time, Europe has faced heat waves that have damaged its sugar beet crop, with France expecting its worst harvest in 4 years. Now, US government forecasters expect global sugar production to fall to about 184.9 million tons from a record 186.1 million tons the previous year. Global prices are reflecting that pressure. London white sugar futures reached about $541 a ton in mid-August, their highest level since April 2025. So, will your Diwali sweets cost more this festive season because of the price hike for sugar? That's the big question. India's imports should provide some breathing room during the festive season. And if high sugar prices continue, mills may have less incentive to divert sugarcane towards ethanol production, potentially improving sugar availability next year.